There is a profound, silent misunderstanding unfolding in your home every single day. You believe you are broadcasting a loud, clear message of love to your dog. In your human mind, that message is obvious. It lives in the expensive treats you buy, the warm cuddles on the couch, the special high-pitched voice you reserve only for them, and the way you completely rearrange your evening schedule just to ensure they get their walk. But your dog does not speak that human language. They do not process affection through words, gifts, or gestures that belong to our modern world. They process love through something vastly older, something deeply rooted in primal biology, in ancient instinct, and in tens of thousands of years of evolution that meticulously shaped exactly how a canine reads safety, trust, and true belonging. And here is the reality that will change absolutely everything for you. Your dog has been responding to your love all along. Not through spoken words, but through 7 highly specific biological behaviors that most owners witness every single day and completely fail to understand. Once you finally decode what these signs actually mean and what is physically happening inside your dog's brain when they perform them, you will never look at your best friend the same way again. Let us decode the quiet, beautiful language of your dog. Number 1. The full body signature. Watch your dog closely the next time they walk toward you. Not when you have explicitly called their name, and certainly not when you are holding a piece of food. Just observe them in an ordinary quiet moment. You sit down in the living room, they notice you from across the floor, and they simply decide to come over. Pay very close attention to exactly how they move their physical body. A dog who is uncertain, or a dog who has not yet completely anchored their trust in a human, approaches with careful calculation. Their body is compact and stiff. Their steps are measured and hesitant. There is a visible tension held quietly in their shoulder muscles. But a dog who knows down to their very bones that they are deeply loved moves completely differently. The entire rear end is involved in the motion. Their tail is not just wagging stiffly. It is literally pulling the entire back half of their body back and forth with it. Their head is held high, and their steps are loose, fluid, and almost bouncy. Some dogs produce a full body wiggle that originates at the front shoulders and ripples all the way down to the tip of the tail. Canine behaviorists refer to this specific physical state as loose body language. It is the undeniable physical signature of a central nervous system that is completely, unconditionally at ease. Every single muscle, every joint, and every posture signal is screaming the exact same message simultaneously. There is absolutely no threat here. I do not need to protect myself in any way. Dogs do not perform this full body wiggle for just anyone. They reserve it exclusively for the specific people their brain has permanently filed under the category of safe and mine. And that permanent neurological filing does not happen simply because you gave them a treat once. It happens because of relentless consistency. It happens because of every single time you were emotionally predictable, every time you remained calm in a chaotic moment, and every time things went well in your presence, allowing your dog's nervous system to quietly update its internal records. If your dog brings their entire wiggling body when they come to you, that looseness is not just a quirky habit. It is a biological conclusion they have reached about your soul. While this full-body greeting shows how they feel when they approach you, how they act when they are far away from you reveals an even deeper layer of trust. Number 2. The secure base glance. Imagine you are out in the garden or walking off-leash at a large open park. Your dog is several meters away, their nose buried in the ground, completely absorbed in tracking a scent that you cannot even perceive. And then, entirely without any prompt from you, without you calling their name, whistling, or even shifting your weight, they suddenly look back. It is just a quick, fleeting glance over their shoulder to find you, to visually confirm that you are still exactly where you were, and then their nose goes straight back to the ground. Scientists refer to this specific action as social referencing, and it is one of the most heavily studied and reliable indicators of secure attachment in the entire animal kingdom. Interestingly, This behavior was first documented in human infants. A toddler placed in an unfamiliar room will gladly explore the new toys, but only up to a certain physical perimeter. Periodically, they will stop and glance back at their parent. They do not do this because they need a snack or because they are about to cry. They do it because the caregiver's physical presence is the invisible anchor that makes the scary act of exploration biologically possible in the first place. If you remove the caregiver from the room, the child immediately stops exploring moves toward the door and becomes highly distressed. Your dog is executing the exact same psychological mechanism. Extensive research into canine attachment theory has confirmed that this voluntary unprompted check-in glance occurs specifically and exclusively with the human the dog is most deeply bonded to. They do not do it with passing strangers, and they do not do it with other dogs. They do it with you. What this fleeting glance truly means is this: your dog is not just out enjoying the park. They are only capable of enjoying the park because you are standing there. Your physical presence is not just background noise to their experience. It is the absolute foundation of it. Every single time they glance back over their shoulder to find your silhouette, they are telling you something they have no spoken words to say. You are my compass, and as long as I have a visual fix on you, I am brave enough to face the world. This invisible tether gives them courage outdoors, but what they do indoors, when their defenses are completely down, is the ultimate proof of their devotion. Number 3. Neurological surrender. There is a massive, meaningful biological difference between a dog who lightly dozes near you on the rug and a dog who truly, completely lets go. We are talking about deep REM sleep. This is the stage where your dog's facial muscles twitch, where their paws paddle the air as though they are running through a dream, and where small, muffled sounds escape their lips. This specific stage of sleep is a state of total, absolute vulnerability. Every single protective instinct is forced offline. Situational awareness is entirely gone. The physical body is completely defenseless. And your dog deliberately chose to enter that highly dangerous biological state right next to you. This is not a small, insignificant choice. In the brutal reality of the wild deep sleep was the exact moment when predators found you and killed you. The primal part of your dog's brain, the part entirely responsible for keeping them alive, has never forgotten that ancestral trauma. No matter how incredibly safe, warm, and domesticated their modern life is, that underlying survival awareness never fully disappears from their DNA, which means that willingly falling into genuine twitching deep sleep within striking distance of another living being is an act of profound biological surrender. Your dog has learned through 1,000 ordinary quiet moments shared with you that absolutely nothing bad happens when their guard is completely dropped. They have learned that this specific space, sitting next to this specific person, is the one place on planet Earth where they do not need to constantly monitor the perimeter. Watch the actual physical quality of how your dog sleeps when they are pressed against your leg, versus how they sleep if they are isolated in another room or forced to stay in an unfamiliar environment. The difference is visually striking. Near you, the sleep is deeper, the breathing is slower, and the body is entirely fluid. That physical softness is not just exhaustion. It is the undeniable physical evidence that your consistent love has successfully mutated safety into something real, something their ancient nervous system believes without a shadow of a doubt. When they are awake, this deep-seated need for physical closeness manifests in a very quiet way that most owners completely ignore. Number 4. The affectionate lean. You are standing in the kitchen. Perhaps you are waiting for the coffee to brew. Or perhaps you are just staring out the window distracted and thinking about your workday. Out of nowhere, your dog quietly walks up and firmly presses the entire side of their heavy body into your shin or your thigh. They are not jumping up excitedly. They are not pawing at your leg. They are not whining or asking for a treat. They are just leaning their solid weight against you. It is a gesture so incredibly quiet and unobtrusive that most people barely even register it happening. They might reach down, give a distracted brief pat on the head, and step away to check their phone. But what is actually occurring in that silent biological moment is worth stopping everything for. In the complex world of canine social behavior, deliberate sustained body contact that is initiated completely without an external motivator, meaning there is no food nearby, no high energy excitement, and no fearful trigger, is one of the clearest, purest expressions of affiliation that exists in their species. It is exactly what wild dogs do exclusively with the specific members of their pack they feel the most fiercely bonded to. They are not leaning on you because they are cold and seeking warmth. They are not doing it because they are anxious and need rescuing. They are simply choosing in a completely unprompted ordinary moment to close the physical space between you because their internal biology is measurably calmer when it is touching yours. Think deeply about what that implies. Your dog's nervous system, totally at rest on a random Tuesday afternoon, actively seeks out physical weight-bearing contact with you. Not because something is broken, and not because they need something from you. They do it simply because being near you, being physically anchored against you, is where they feel the most grounded and like themselves. That quiet lean is not a small throwaway gesture. It is a massive physical statement about the unshakable bond you share. While leaning is a physical connection, there is a fascinating, almost invisible psychological connection that proves they are completely synced to your brain. Number 5. The empathy test. This one is something you can actually test for yourself tonight. Wait until your dog is perfectly settled on the floor and looking calmly in your general direction. Make sure you have their attention and then yawn. A massive, slow, highly exaggerated, and completely deliberate yawn. And just watch what happens next. In human psychology, contagious yawning, the involuntary act of yawning, simply because you saw someone else do it, is one of the most highly reliable, heavily studied behavioral markers of deep empathy. Psychological studies have consistently proven that the more inherently empathetic a person is, the more highly susceptible they are to catching a yawn from someone else across the room. For decades, the scientific community believed this complex mirroring behavior was uniquely and exclusively human. Then the behavioral research on domestic dogs began to surface. A landmark study published in the prestigious journal PLOS One discovered that dogs absolutely yawn contagiously in direct response to human yawns. But here is the crucial, fascinating detail. They do it significantly more often and much faster with their own specific owners than they ever do with strangers. Furthermore, the effect was measurably strongest in the dogs that possessed the closest, most secure bonds to the person who was yawning. What this data unequivocally tells us is that your dog is not simply staring at you blankly. They are neurologically tuned into your frequency at a level that crosses into something that looks and acts exactly like human empathy. Their central nervous system is so deeply tethered to yours that even a completely unconscious, involuntary biological signal from your body instantly triggers a matching response in theirs. If your dog yawns back at you, that is not a random coincidence. That is the biological echo of your bond. It is measurable, it is scientifically documented, and it is entirely real. This incredible emotional synchronization is put to the ultimate test every single time you leave the house and return. Number 6. The emotional reset. When an owner finally comes home after a long day at work, they usually focus entirely on the initial chaotic excitement of the greeting. The frantic spinning, the happy whining, the tippy taps on the hardwood floor, and the complete inability to get your shoes off without being aggressively celebrated. But the biological sign that actually matters the most happens about 60 seconds after you walk through the door. Watch very closely what your dog does once that initial massive wave of adrenaline and excitement finally settles. Do they quickly find a comfortable spot near your feet and simply stop moving? Do they lay their head down, let out a long, slow, heavy exhale, the kind of sigh that seems to originate from somewhere deep in their soul, and just completely rest. That heavy exhale is not them being tired from jumping. That is the sound of a nervous system completing a massive biological transition. Extensive research into canine stress responses has clearly shown that dogs left alone in a house experience elevated levels of cortisol, the primary stress hormone, for extended periods of time. The house is entirely too quiet. The normal routine is fractured, and the single person their entire biology is oriented around is missing. Your return does not just bring them temporary joy. Walking through that door triggers a measurable physiological reset button. Their cortisol drops plummet. Their heart rate drastically slows down. Their physical body returns to its calm baseline. And here is the detail that tells you absolutely everything you need to know about your bond. The speed of that physical reset is directly proportional to how securely attached your dog is to you. A dog with a strong, highly settled, secure bond calms down remarkably quickly because their nervous system trusts completely and absolutely that the primary source of their safety has returned to the den. There is no lingering uncertainty, no residual pacing, and no anxious alertness. There is just the immediate full-body recognition that the world is right again. If your mere physical presence is enough to bring your dog from wound-up anxiety to genuine heavy peace within just a few minutes, that speed is the ultimate metric of your relationship. You have successfully become their emotional anchor, and they physically reset to your presence the exact same way a compass violently snaps back to true north. When you become their true north, they begin to rely on you for something far more important than just comfort. Number 7. You are the answer. Imagine a scenario where the world suddenly feels unpredictable and dangerous to your dog. A massive, unexpected thunderclap shakes the house. A stranger aggressively knocks at the front door, or a strange, unfamiliar object suddenly appears in the living room that their instincts cannot immediately categorize. In that split second of primal panic, where does your dog immediately look? They do not stay fixated on the thing that startled them. They immediately whip their head around and look directly at your face. They are actively, desperately reading your micro-expressions. They are checking the tension around your eyes, analyzing the set of your jaw, and listening to see if your breathing pattern just shifted. They are rapidly gathering vital survival data from the one single source their brain has learned to trust above all other inputs in the universe, you. They do this before they ever decide how to react. If your face remains calm, relaxed, and unbothered, their internal alarm system instantly dials down. If your face carries visible tension, fear, or anger, their reactivity instantly escalates. Behaviorists call this emotional referencing, and it has been heavily documented across multiple scientific studies as a highly specific behavior directed exclusively at the person a dog is most securely bonded to. They do not look at strangers for the answer, and they do not look at other animals. They look at you. But here is the most beautiful part that makes this specific sign different from all the others on this list. This behavior was never taught. It was never trained with a clicker and a handful of treats. Nobody sat down and showed your dog to look at your face when they were terrified. They arrived at this profound biological conclusion entirely on their own. They did it through time, through accumulated shared experiences, and through every single moment you were present and things turned out to be perfectly fine. Your dog did not just magically bond with you. They built a massive, undeniable case for your leadership observation by observation, moment by quiet moment. And in the moments that matter the absolute most, when the world feels terrifyingly uncertain, and every wild instinct in their body is firing, at once they present that case. They do not look at the threat. They look at you, because to them, you are not just the person who fills the food bowl. You are their answer. If you watch this breakdown and found yourself repeatedly thinking, "Wow, that is my dog," that is exactly what they do. I want you to know something. That deep recognition you are feeling right now is not you projecting human emotions onto an animal. That is you finally truly seeing what has been biologically happening right in front of you the entire time. I want to hear about the incredible dog who chose you as their answer. Go down to the comments right now and tell us your dog's name and which of these quiet, beautiful behaviors they do the most. Let's celebrate the dogs who trust us with their lives.